My name is Anoop Rangi. I'm the writer-director for Arranged Marriage.
My name is Megha Sandhu. I'm an actress and I play Kamali.
Great to have you here. And I'm Daniel, host of the Film Craziest Show. So Anoop, I'd love to start with you and just ask in general, can you talk about what specifically inspired the story for Arranged Marriage?
Definitely. So, growing up, there was very little South Asian representation for second, third generation people who grew up in the West, and there tended to be the few films that did exist. They tended to fall into kind of broadly in two categories: the kind of like the feel-good ethnic, and then the cautionary ethnic. So, I kind of wanted to make a film that turned those two conventions on their head, and make a satirical film where I'm kind of poking fun at those, like I said, those subgenres, and that was the impetus for the film.
Okay. And what was it like oh, sorry.
Basically, I wanted to make it's a satirical take on the perception of arranged marriage, and so, like I said, we're kind of taking no prisoners, poking fun at all sorts of things of films from the past, and then cultural themes, things like that.
And Megha, can you talk about how you got involved with the project?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, this was done 3 years ago, and I had very little experience in acting, and I still am very ambitious. I just came across the script and I sent in my audition tapes for it. There was something about the writing in the script, like Anoop was mentioning. It's not feel-good ethnic, it's not cautionary ethnic. It's kind of poking fun at both subgenres, and that for me is what drew me to it. I was like, well, I've never seen something like this before. And then obviously I was also drawn to Cammy's character. So just send in my tapes and hope for the best, and it just kind of worked. So that's.
And what would you say you related to most about the character of Kamali?
I can't relate to her arranged marriage. This is not something my parents have spoken to me about, although it's obviously, it looms around in our house and stuff, and she's gonna get married, she's not. But what I can relate to Kamali is her this tension that she faces constantly to please her parents, and then to also live her own life the way that she wants to, with her friends, her lover. So for me, it actually displayed itself in terms of education. Education in the South Asian community is of paramount importance. And it's definitely something I grew up with. My mom wanted me to be a doctor. I, not so much, wanted to pursue the arts. And so there was a struggle. I mean, there still is to this day. My mom tells me, if ever you want, you can always just come back, take the MCAT, go to med school. It's like, no, that's what I want to do. But yeah, it's something I face. I know a lot of other South Asian women face, men as well. So that's what I relate to on.
All right. And there's an interesting aspect in this film, just in general, with it being much harder for women, and how you guys find each other in the club kind of thing with the character that you're supposed to marry. Can you guys just talk about that aspect and how you kind of depicted that?
Yeah, sort of the double standard with men can do certain things women can't, and so yeah, we again, it all comes from that's a kind of an example of how you take double standards that very much do exist, and then you kind of try to make them as extreme as possible, and then to a point where it becomes humorous. Well, like I said, he's in the club doing the exact same thing as she is, and then off of that, the story pivots and it takes a much darker turn, where it goes from, okay, the arranged marriage now is canceled, and now she's being hunted down. So that's kind of another example of how you take something that's kind of true in the culture. Those double standards absolutely exist, but then you kind of put it into, you kind of keep pushing it to such an extreme element, and then you kind of get where we got to.
Did you want to add anything on to that, Megha? Just how you played it, kind of thing?
Well, I mean, I know it quite well. It's not sometimes gender disparity, and it's not often. It exhibits itself in subtle ways in real life, but of course, in this, it's a satirical take on that theme. So for me, it was quite understandable to. It was quite easy to play off of. I've witnessed this. I've seen it firsthand. So, and then the extreme elements, I mean, that's all done, you know, afterwards and post and stuff, but wasn't too hard to relate to.
And just talking about just how the film does take dark turns at times, I thought it was cool that it's like very much satire and comedy, but would you guys also put it in like a horror thriller genre as well?
Well, there's definitely horror elements and thriller elements to it, but I think that's the horror thriller element is really the vehicle for the satire. You know, but you can still enjoy it as a horror film, and you know, hopefully, you know, there's a few scary moments and things like that. But ultimately, the film is a satire, and then, like I said, the horror and the thriller, they're vehicles for the satire.
Alright. Yeah, I thought it was pretty neat. Like just like I think before I watched the film, I had saw on IMDb that like the main cat like genre was comedy, and just like how it opens with the slow lights going on in the library. I thought that was pretty creepy.
No, thank you.
Can you talk about like just kind of like arranging that scene, how the film opens?
Yeah, that was the last day of our shoot, and it was that was a pretty complicated shot actually, with half a day to light that, and you know, we just wanted a stylized opening shot to kind of establish the mood, establish the world, and that it was kind of like a cool looking shot, and kind of dolly and introduce Kamali, and you know, kind of get a sense of the world.
And just there's one scene that I love in the film where I feel like I'm spoiling like most of like the best beats in the movie, but there's one scene where just the family is kind of wearing exaggerated American clothes. So can you just talk about choosing the costumes for that scene?
Yeah, so that was again, that was something where, you know, it's kind of all rooted in the culture where, you know, they're very traditional. You know, the women wear the traditional clothing, and then it was all about, you know, putting on the best face to sort of like the cop represents sort of like the West. So it's kind of like they're putting on their best face to the West and kind of poking fun at how, you know, how I don't want to say how gullible you know, the cop is, but you know, how they can
Sure.
manipulate when need be.
Okay.
And the wardrobe was, yeah, it was once we had the idea of they were going to be wearing Western clothing, we kind of had fun with it, and you know, we initially the younger sister, she had like the old Victorian dress, and then we sort of just kind of kept going with that. Sort of like the mother was wearing like the 1970s kind of office style suit, things like that. So it was kind of a play that's like her only Western clothing from like way back when she thought she was going to be working outside the house.
Okay. Now, did you guys have a favorite costume, or just in
I
that
think
scene?
I think the grandmother's hoodie was really nice.
I was gonna say the grandma's hoodie was my favorite.
Okay, yeah, I think I really like the baseball uniform that the dad wears. I thought
The
that was pretty good.
contrast, yeah, the contrast from his typical character was nice, I think.
And can you also just talk about like kind of casting the entire family, and just in how they do represent the biggest like traditional values?
Yeah, we got you know, we really lucked out. Our cast was tremendous, and Meg obviously playing Kamali was that worked out extremely well. And then the father, Kavi is actually a very prominent Punjabi filmmaker. He directs, he writes and directs quite a few Punjabi films, big Punjabi films, and then he's been in Hollywood for 30 years. So you know, he's a, you know, very experienced, successful actor. So it was a huge coup being able to get him. And then he actually was a tremendous help. He helped us introduce us to Belinda, the grandmother, and a few other, even Shruti, the mother. So Kavi was a huge help in introducing us to a lot of the cast. And then, so yeah, we were very fortunate to get the cast, because, you know, everyone was always saying like it actually looks and feels and they kind of act like an actual family. So, you know, we really lucked out.
Okay. And now, just with Kavi also being a filmmaker, like, were you guys able to like kind of talk about filmmaking off like between takes, or?
Not as much as I would have liked. You know, we had time, but like it's the actual shooting day is always so hectic that there's not really as much downtime as I would have liked, but Covey's a friend now, so I'll stay in touch with him. So we're always we're able to talk offset now a lot more. So that's been wonderful.
And Megha, was this your first film set?
It was.
So what was that experience like?
It was surreal. I still couldn't believe, like, I would talk to Anoop about it. I'm like, I still can't believe I'm here while we were shooting. And then even afterwards, like, I remember having a conversation with him and just being like, wow, this is my first film. And I remember him saying, like, it's not the last, like, it's just from here on out, like I've been working consistently. So, no, this was a great first experience. I couldn't have asked for a better director, writer, team of people to work with. It was so much fun. And it's interesting because, Anoop mentioned that the cast, we looked and felt like a family, but I really did feel like we were family. Like Shruti, who plays my mom, she very much took on a motherly role for me during shooting, and the sister, and Kavi as well, and the grandma. So it was odd. Like this was my first film, but it was also the first film where I was surrounded by people who looked like me. And so that was, it was heartwarming and nice to be a part of.
Sure. Do you guys still keep in touch?
We do. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We do, yeah.
Cool. And I also noticed just in your filmography that you worked on an episode of like the newest one of the newest Star Trek shows. So what was that like? And also, was there like a big difference in like set atmosphere between making a film and then making that TV show?
Yeah, so Star Trek was a great experience. I'm surrounded by very smart, intelligent people, so that was always nice to be around. Working on a franchise like Star Trek is just it's different from a film. In a film, you get to know people, you spend like literally like months on end with them, you become like a family. With this one, it was more just like, okay, introduction, go in, do the job, and then you're out, then literally the next day. So very different dynamics, both equally fun.
Okay, awesome. And also just like looking at your career, I'd be curious if you have a preference between acting and modeling.
Definitely acting. Acting gives me the opportunity to showcase parts of myself that I often hide from the world, which is very much what modeling was for me. It was a nice facade and the nice, it's aesthetic, it's beauty, but you didn't really get to know the real me. And I had so many, I remember when I used to model, I was like, this is fun, but I have so much in me that I'm not capable of sharing through just a picture, right? And so it's a nice time in my life, but it's now done. And I look forward to having a long-lasting acting career.
Okay, awesome. And just getting back to arranged marriage, I'd love to ask, where did you guys shoot the film?
In LA.
Okay, there's this great tracking shot as Cammy's in a taxi, and we were kind of going through the city. So what was it like? What was it like putting that together?
Yeah, we shot that actually second unit after we had finished principal, and I think we just stuck a GoPro there, and then we grabbed the taxi sign, and then which was a prop, and then we stuck it on a car, and we had the GoPro, and then Nadeem and I, the DP, we drove to downtown LA one night, and we just drove around for like just a couple of hours, picked up the footage.
Now, did you guys have so there's one scene that I like, just when we first meet the groom to be, he has the paper bag on his head. Can you guys talk about what inspired that?
That's kind of the satire on the perception of arranged marriage. Well, people, may think that, it's this really outdated, oppressive system. And so it's like, okay, what can we do to kind of really further that perception, kind of take it to ridiculous lengths? It's like, putting the bag on his head, you only get to see him if there's enough gold. Then, once the father-in-law gives the nod of approval, only then are you allowed to see him. So it's sort of just kind of pushing the extremes of like I said, of the perception of arranged marriage, and pushing it into these ridiculous areas.
Okay. Now, Megha, had you met the actor before or after Baghead?
So I had met him briefly. I remember in the hallway of the house that we were shooting in, but I have to be honest, I didn't really know that there was going to be a bag over his head So it was a surprise to me too. So the reactions that you're seeing Tammy go through are like quite authentic. I don't believe it was mentioned in the script, so Anoop really threw me for a curveball there. But yeah, we had met briefly in the hallway, but that initial meeting that you see is quite authentic.
Okay, perfect. Now, did you guys in general have like a favorite scene to shoot?
I personally love the running scene, where she
Yeah,
first
those were great.
where she first leaves her house. The scene where she's got like the shoes on, like they get put on, and then she's running, and very symbolic for I think my journey in life, just trying to pursue my dreams. But it was fun itself shooting. I'm quite an athletic person, and so I like to use my body, and so that was a great opportunity. And these guys were great at shooting that. They were like, I don't know how they figured it out with like the vehicle and like the whole, and everything was done super proficiently and professionally, and it was just lots of fun.
Cool. What about you, Anoop?
I would say the library scene, the opening scene, that was the last day of the shoot. So yeah, felt good at that point. You know, we were getting towards the end, and then it wasn't that heavy of a day. It was only like 5 pages to shoot, so we were able to really focus on, you know, the creative. Like I said, it took us half a day to light the scene, but you know, I really enjoyed shooting the scene, and you know, the visuals and the kind of the dollying in between the library stacks and stuff. So that was probably my favorite day.
Okay. And I think I have time for one more. So I just have to ask that, Megha. So what was it like kind of creating the chemistry between the character of Clive as the kind of forbidden boyfriend?
You know, it's interesting because I was initially scared of that too. I was like, how are we going to create this chemistry here? How are we going to, but it just became very, Clive is, the Jordan Williams who plays Clive is an extremely talented actor and a very nice human being. We still speak today. And it was very natural to get to work with him. It's like any other, you know, partner that I would have had. It was very much that. And I never once felt that he was judgmental, or, you know, he just very much was invested in his character. And because of that, I was able to play off of that. And I guess it kind of worked out.
Okay. And just in terms of, I hope I'm not spoiling too much, but were you still able to like be on good terms when he kind of turns a bit nasty towards the third act there?
Oh yeah, like I mean, him and like the actors, like me, myself, and Jordan, like we were like laughing and making jokes amidst that scene. So when we weren't shooting, but
the actual person didn't actually become like that.
Okay, good.
I had to really push him. That he did an amazing job in just a tremendous job overall. But then even like when he became menacing, he was so convincing. That was actually our initial concern. Is like, will he be able to do this in a convincing way? Because in reality, he's like such a nice guy. But he just did just such an effective job, top to bottom, in every way he was playing it. But yeah, he's a good guy.
Okay, awesome. I think that was my time. So I just love to thank you both for chatting with me about Arranged Marriage, which comes to theaters on August 12th.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for your time, guys.